You are now tuned in to We Invest Different Podcast, where we have high-level conversations. I'm Mr. John Michael Best.
And I'm Victor Thomas II.
Let's tap in. Financial Fashion Network is a media company and brand that promote personal development, financial awareness, and mental health. We have created platforms like We Invest Different Podcast that you're listening to right now, and a mental health movement called MH10. We do things like this for our community because we want to create content that's useful for transformation. So if you want to support what we do, you can go over to www.fnfstore.com, take a look at our items, and support our brand. Thank you. Now let's get on to the show. What's going on, kings and queens? I got some good news for you. We finally got our website together at www.weinvestdifferent.com. It's where you can find our episodes of the podcast. We got links to the YouTube channel as well. So tap in. If you don't want to listen on our platforms at Spotify, Apple Music, you can just tap into our website and get access to the newest episodes. Tap in. On conversation number 60, we talked about the ego and how important it is for us to analyze our ego so that we won't operate in our ego all the time. We should strive to operate in our most authentic selves. Tap in. Thank you for tuning in to another conversation of We Invest Different Podcast. I'm co-host Mr. John Michael Best.
And I'm the co-host Victor Thomas II.
And it's good to be back, man. Early in the morning. What's happening? How you doing, King Victor?
I'm doing pretty good, man. Just glad I woke up early this morning, man, to be on here with you, man. Just surrounded by blessings, bro. How you doing, man?
I'm well, same, bro. Same here. Sure, we both, woke up early and, knowing that we got to record. But still good vibes, man. Good vibes. I heard you talk about being grateful.
Yeah, man. It was like yesterday, bro. It was just something just came over me where I was just really just recognizing. And it's been about the last 2 days. I just really been, my eyes have been really opening to how blessed I am. And wow, as I talk about it right now, I think about something that came to me the other day when I was, how we do the shower thing,
Yeah.
It was while I was doing that, I had this thought, and it was like, Lord, I want to be able, hold on, because I want to tell you exactly what it is, because I wrote it down, bro. It came to me out of nowhere. Hold on. Let me see. There you go. It said, I want to delight in my path of blessings, even if there are thorns in the midst of my crop. Because sometimes we'll be walking and we'll be on our path in life, or we'll be trying to grow in life, and we'll have all these good things going on from, that come from the work we put in to develop ourselves or whatever we working on. But then it be some little bullshit that be in the midst of it, you feel me? And I know me, I'll sometimes sit back and let those few thorns ruin the whole crop. I would let those few thorns totally take my mind off the fact that all this stuff has grown. All this stuff is prospering. So I want to stop doing that to myself.
Glass half full, glass half empty.
Something like that.
Perspective. Definitely agree with that.
Real talk.
I'm grateful for you having that revelation, honestly. Because, by us being together, you having that information and you saying it to me, of course, I'll be able to receive it as well.
Amen.
So with that being said, man, that leads us into something very interesting that I wanted to talk about today, and that's the ego. the
Mm-hmm.
ego, and that kind of is the same. It's in the same lines of what you just talked about, because part of part of the ego is you can also not be grateful, and that'll be your ego. That can be your ego. Like,
Mm,
because what I noticed about the ego is that we use our ego for certain things. It can be for survival in your environment. That's usually that's usually one of the main purposes of the ego. We create the ego as a defense mechanism. Well, me
mm,
being transparent, I know that I use ego when I feel vulnerable.
mm,
I like whenever I feel vulnerable or weak, or when I feel like I'm losing, I have to use my ego to feel like I'm winning.
mm.
But
It's heavy right there.
deep down, I'm really hurt. Deep down, I'm really hurt. Like it shows up as anger and rage, but it's really hurt.
Mm. That
So
makes sense.
right, it's just like a person that grew up in the hood. Just furthering the understanding of it, or the overstanding of it. Like, it's when you growing up in the hood, you might not want to look mean all the time. You might not want to be mean all the time. Truly in yourself, you want to be a calm person. You're really a calm person, and you don't want to fight. You don't want to do the things that people are doing in the environment. But in order to survive, we have to get in line and do the things to fit in. Because it protects you. So that's kind of part of why ego is created as well. I think I think your body automatically does it, because I know Sigmund Freud talked about it, which is one of the earliest psychologists, talked about the developmental stages of of babies. They start developing egos at such a young age, and growing up throughout life, depending on what happens at a young age, we tend to use the ego as a shell of protection. So you may find people that act out, like we act out when sometimes, because of trauma. Trauma is connected to the ego. So you use your ego to support. It's a support system. Like, you gotta go inside of that shell, which is your ego, and you gotta activate it. And that's where you start behaving out of your ego instead of out of your true self.
Mm.
So I wanted to get your view on that. I wanted to get your view on the ego, because it's really seven ego states.
You said it's 7 ego states.
Yeah, it's seven ego
Hold on. All
states.
right. So it's all right. You finna get into some heavy stuff. So before you do that, can you, if you had to put what an ego is into your own words, how would you explain
Where I put it, ego is literally like, it's really a character that you create out of survival, out of fear. Like, whatever happens, this is what happens most of the time, in my opinion. When you go through certain things, like I said, you have to protect yourself. And one of the ways to protect yourself is creating a character inside of your head. And so you're really showing society, you're showing the people that you are around, this character, this person, and it might not even be who you truly are, but you got to put on. So you
it?
created this person, which is your ego. It's like a personality
Okay, I can
or
see that.
alter ego. It's like, it's still you, but it's not the true you, but it's still a part of you, because you created it to protect yourself. So it's still you. It just might not be your most authentic self.
It's like more of you in a protective state.
Right.
Gotcha. So what I'd like, I done heard you say something about the uh
Ego
seven
states.
ego states. Yeah. What's that?
Now, I just really read up on this, because I studied a little this in college, because I went into college for psychology, and I took a class on this, and it talked about different egos and different people with egos. and it talked about like ethical egoists, things like, have you ever heard of egoists?
Mm-mm.
Ethical egoists. It's like people that they have an ego that they have to do good. It makes them feel so good to do good.
Mm.
Like they do things for others, but really it's for themselves.
Mm.
Ethical
Wow.
egoists. But that's not what I'm talking about. But there's 7 ego states, and it said that 6 of those ego states are unhealthy.
Mm.
So I'm going to name the 6 ego states that are unhealthy first. Um, Selfishness. Um, you have the people pleaser. You have rebellious. You got the manipulator. You got those who are critical of others, and you have an enabler. So all of those are ego states, and they have different personality traits. So, like
Mm.
we were saying, when you're growing up in an environment that you're uncomfortable in, you create an ego. So within that ego, you might be a critical person, you might be a manipulative person, you might be a rebellious person, but really, you really feel like that's the way you have to be. So you tell yourself, "This is what I have to be," and you start maneuvering in life out of your ego instead of out of your authentic self. And some of us get stuck into the ego. We get stuck there, and we
Mm.
never really get to pull back the layers and operate out of our true authentic self.
Mm. So, question.
Hmm.
So, boom, a person realizes these things about themselves, right?
Right.
And they're in that state that you just said. They're stuck in that state, but they are conscious of them utilizing this alter ego or one of these 6 uh, states of egos. Um, what would you suggest they do to make the appropriate changes?
Well, what I do for myself, brother, because we all got egos,
Mm-hmm.
you know, what I do for myself is awareness. You have to be aware, first of all, because being self aware is like the number one way to change something.
Mm.
So,
Facts.
so you have to be aware, first of all, of your ego. You have to realize that, hey, I'm operating in my ego. So that takes you being conscious. Like, and for a person to be conscious, yes, he's going to have to hear something. He's going to have a conversation with somebody, or something. Something has to be planted. The seed has to be planted for them to realize, like, okay, man, I need to shift. But it's gonna take a while. Like, so they got to work on themselves. That's why I say the number one step is self awareness. When you become self aware, then you can start your process of peeling back the layers. So when you feel yourself operating out of the ego, it's like you're being more self-aware. So then you can backtrack. Okay, I'm operating out of my ego. So let me make an attempt to operate out of my true authentic self and do what? You operate in confidence. Because when you're confident, there's no need for the ego. You're only you're only operating the ego, man, when you feel inadequate. That's what I
Mm-hmm.
noticed about myself. Like
Mm.
my ego always shows up when I feel vulnerable or when I feel weak. Because
That's
even and I found what's so interesting about myself is that I have trauma in the abandonment department. Like I have abandonment issues. So I think that a part of that created the ego of me being super competitive because I wanted to be a winner. So people wouldn't abandon me. So
mm.
people would be proud of me at all the times. I gotta be number one. I gotta be a winner.
Mm. That's
So
deep.
I created the ego of always being right, never being wrong.
Mm. That's heavy, bro. And I can relate. And right now, I'm glad you saying this stuff because it's giving me the opportunity to, really do a self evaluation on myself, bro.
Yeah, brother. It's
and
all
become more
about
aware in these departments.
it's all about what you because you're literally, like I said, you hide things in your ego. It's some things that you haven't healed from that you have applied to your ego, and you operating in your ego because you hurt. Like I said, like literally, you can really be hurt, but you go inside of your ego as a shell, and you're pretending to be a whole nother person. Like, but deep down inside, it's something else.
Mm, I receive that, bro, for real.
But yeah, man, I really did just I wanted to talk about that because I heard some information. It's kind of like an audio book or kind of a high level conversation of you know great minds, and one person mentioned how they created the ego because they grew up in a bad area, in the hood area in New York, and they created the ego to fit in with everybody. But it took him leaving the environment to realize he was operating out of ego.
Mm,
He had to leave the environment to realize that the person that he was operating being wasn't who he was. He forced
mm,
himself to be that way to survive his environment. And that's what a lot of us are doing. We live in these environments where we are unhappy, and we pretend to make that we accept that as normal. That's ego as well. You see how traumatic ego can be. We can
mm-hmm,
hide behind that thing and pretend that everything is good because we feel like it's normal, or we feel like that's how it's supposed to be. It's like how we go to work to only pay bills all the time. Like a lot of us just go to work to pay bills because we have felt like that's what we're supposed to do. You know why? Because that's what they seen their parents do. So they always see. So subconsciously, that's what you're used to seeing. So even though you want to do something else, or even though your true self is saying this is not the life for me, you're gonna force yourself to live that lifestyle because subconsciously that's what you're used to seeing. So you go inside of this ego and you go to work and you work your 40, you work your 60 hours a week to take care of your family, and you suck it up, and you do that every day until you get a stroke, or you it's very unhealthy. So it runs into different issues. But all I'm saying is, like, a lot of us fight against ourselves. It ain't even like you fighting against an enemy or you fighting against somebody outside yourself. Like, we spend a lot of time fighting ourselves and don't even realize it.
mm-hmm. That's why it's good to really, I don't know, I guess it's good to really listen to different stuff and expose ourselves to different kind of information, and really allow it to really shine a light on ourselves. 'Cause I think that's the true value of reading and listening to stuff to grow. It really, for me personally, it can really um, send my growth to another level. Because, like you said, sometimes we'll be walking around with issues that we don't even know we have for
Hmm.
years, and we done been through different situations and ruined different relationships and don't even really know why. What we typically do. We like to blame the other person or blame the other party in whatever issue has arisen from whatever conflict we have within ourselves. But at the end of the day, we usually have a part to play, and it might have something to do with that ego. Because I know once we tend to get upset, man. Like you said, that ego get the kicking out, bro.
She can't talk to me like that.
I ain't finna let this happen.
Nah,
Let not know who I am.
I ain't finna go out like that.
hmm And even at work, you know what I mean? In them type of relationships.
Oh yeah, them the ones right there.
hmm
Because you take that same mindset. Like I said, most of us have grown up in the hood. That mentality of, oh, you trying to get over on me. So at any moment you feel like you operating out of ego because used to protecting yourself in your neighborhood. So you in a work environment with the same mindset.
Real talk.
So
I
it's like
think.
it's a real hierarchy at a job. It ain't like your neighborhood where you got to prove yourself to have rank. So you got to understand what system that you operate in. You operating in the workforce system. So you're not in the streets. So we'll operate in ego, operate on that. Oh nah, you can't get the upper hand on me. Knowing that he a manager, like he actually do got the upper hand. So
Right.
it's like you operating out of ego because you don't want people to get over on you, but that's not getting over on you. You at a job, bro.
Mm-hmm.
Like
Mentality.
this is how a job is, bro. People tell you what to do. If you don't like that, then you really just have to accept that you're not the type of person to work a job.
Mm-hmm. And get ready to take that path.
Exactly.
For real. But man, I think the number one thing that I received from you bringing this up, bro, is like it's gonna cause me to really be checking my reactions to stuff.
Yes, sir.
You know what I mean? Like everything. Like if I got a problem with something, or if it's something I don't like, I want to make sure that I'm responding in the most constructive kind of way, and
Man,
not just operating in my ego. So man, that's good stuff, bro. That's real good stuff.
I like to say also before we move on that's very important what you said. That's very important because it's so many times where like once you look at it, once you pull back and look at it, like you just said, you analyze it, bro. You'll realize that your response that you was about to give is like it don't make sense because it's like
Mm-hmm.
most of the time it's like dang, you really just doing it because you don't like it. Like
Mm-hmm.
it's not really like this person not harming you. You're not dying. Like it's nothing really that serious. It's literally because you don't like it. Like, nah, I'm not gonna let her do that to me, or I'm not. And then it's like some of the time it's things that you would do to the other person. It's like you would do the same thing, but you mad that they did it.
Woo! That's some real talk, bro.
That's ego too,
Well,
bro.
Aunt say it ain't fun when the rabbit got the gun.
Nah, man. That's ego
For real.
too, bro.
Mm, that's heavy. I
But
fool with it.
but
I'm
yeah,
trying to. Hey. I know this unprofessional, but I don't care. It is what it is. But I really want us to work on hitting that 30-minute mark,
for sure.
cause I know you know what I was telling you about the person that's gonna do it. You know, I kind of told them that it's gonna be within that time frame. You feel me?
For sure. So yeah, brother, like leading on to the next segment of what we learned. Um, I wanted to talk about one thing that I noticed, like with the wordplay of trauma and drama.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm kind of trying to like the English language is funny, man. Like trauma and drama, they sound the same, but it's spelled differently. Like trauma is spelled Trauma, but drama is spelled Drama. So why isn't drama spelled Drauma?
Mm-hmm.
It has the same sound. Trauma, drama.
Yeah.
And trauma is drama. So I
Makes
think
sense.
like they sound similar. Both has a negative connotation to it. Both both have connections to stress and negative emotional states.
It might
So
be one of them things where they might have been spelled similar at some point. You know how words be
seem like it,
changed.
right? Because it's like
Mm-hmm.
why is there a correlation? Why is there a connection there?
Mm-hmm.
And it sounds the same, and they both kind of got some synonymous meanings in context. Like if you're using in context, they both like equate to the same things. Trauma leads to drama, and drama leads to trauma too. trauma
Mm.
leads trauma leads to drama, and drama leads to trauma.
Makes sense. Makes sense.
Yeah, brother. But what's something you learned?
I guess I ain't gonna share what I learned, but I'm gonna share something that I thought about that's similar to what you said before.
Hmm.
Uh, I always, well, I ain't gonna say I always, but once I started finding out about melatonin,
Hmm.
I always wondered, like, was it a connection between melatonin and melanin?
Mm. Is it?
I never looked. I should, but it's always been a thing on my head. Like, is it some kind of connection? Because it's so similar. Melanin, melatonin. Like, it got to be some kind of connection in that. Ain't no way.
I mean, it is because I mean, like we get melanin from the sun and also melatonin from the sun
Mm.
because it all has to do with your sleep cycle as well. Sometimes like a lot of our sleep cycles are off, so that means the melatonin is off. Serotonin,
Mm.
serotonin is the daytime hormone that comes from the brain that lets you know that it's daytime. Melatonin kicks in at night to let you know, hey, time to take your ass to bed.
Oh.
So that also, like when the sun goes down, it sends a signal to the body that says, melatonin activate. So if we get melatonin from the sun, knowing that the sun is going down, um, I think there is a connection because we also get melanin from the sun.
Mm. Interesting. Well, that's what I learned, bro.
But yeah, brother, the financial theme of the month, um, as we said, it's still the month of it's the month of April. Yeah, we're gonna close this month out at the end of the month with something else. But as we were saying, the last few episodes, don't just rely upon the financial system of just paper money. Seek out different forms of investments and never forget about your network. Because as we all say, it's cliche. The network is your net worth. But that's true. It's not always what you have. It's always, who you are connected to. Because it's opportunity and who you know as well. You might not have something, but you can get an opportunity that can provide you with something. And most of the time, opportunities come from people, and great opportunities could come from knowing certain people. So that's all I'm saying. That's also a valuable asset as well. Remember to be conscious of what's going on, um, the currency wars that's happening. Pay attention. Like I said, don't fear. Keep the faith. Don't put too much faith in anything that you don't supposed to. Keep your mind, centered. Stay grounded. Remain grateful, and I think that'll also keep you in a blessed energy and on a blessed vibration and frequency. Um, so yeah, man. Like I said, tap into that network. Study and do your due diligence on things that you can investment like gold, um,
Mm-hmm.
which serves as a good hedge, and it's a valuable asset around the world. I actually have usage for it. So yeah, that's a pretty good asset to look into.
Mm-hmm.
Um, don't forget to develop something, relationships, like I said, and that's it, brother. If you ain't got nothing to say, um,
Yeah, I just want to say one thing, piggybacking off the networking thing that I just want to put out there, and it's advice for me too. But we just got to make sure we are mentally open to receive connections with people that are totally different from us. And that's one thing that I can work on too. I have been working on it. I think I started working on it when I went to University of West Georgia. But it was a real mixed crowd there, and I really got opportunity to see the value in messing with people that don't look or think like me. because you get a whole different perspective, and that just can just make whatever you're doing even better when you have a different perspective. A lot of people think, oh, it's gonna create a disagreement. Like, no, it's all about perspective, like we talked about earlier. A disagreement on something is only a problem when you decide to look at it like that. But you can also look at it as an opportunity.
I
And a
agree.
lot of times when we get around people that are different from us, it creates opportunities for new ideas. You know what I mean?
I
Because
agree.
you got multiple perspectives. So just piggybacking on what you said about networking, you know, open up your mind. I'm not saying go out there and just try to find white people to be friends with. Like, no, open up your mind and then it'll start to pour in.
For sure.
So that's
I
it.
agree. Great stuff, brother. With that being said, I thank you guys for tuning in to conversation number 60. We'll tap back in again next time. I'm co-host Mr. John Michael Best.
And I'm your other co-host, Victor Thomas II.
And the Two Kings is out.
Peace.
Are you stressed, anxious, or depressed? Well, here is some good news for you. We started a mental health movement called MH10, and we encourage people to pay more attention to their mental health. So do this for us. Take at least 10 minutes per day to take a walk in nature, a jog, run, or just meditation to decrease your stress, because stress is one of the leading causes of chronic physical and mental illnesses in the body. So if you want to join the movement, you can also post on social media, post your 10 minutes by using hashtag MH10 or mental health 10 minutes.